Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show and happy Thursday. We have a packed show for you today. The GOP candidate for governor of New Jersey who might just pull this thing out, Jack Ciattarelli, will be here later. I mean, could we actually get a Republican governor for the People's Republic of New Jersey? I know it wasn't that long ago that we had Chris Christie, but it seems like forever ago. Their current governor, Phil Murphy, just signed a bill into law allowing abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy. All 9 months, up until the day before the baby's born. Could the state that backed that guy now back a Republican? Maybe they're doing it in response to his radicalism on things as basic as third trimester abortions. It's barbaric. We're going to talk about it with Jack Ciattarelli when he joins us live. And also later in the show, Allie Beth Stuckey will be here. She's great. She's amazing, especially on issues involving women and faith. So we'll run that by her. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. Due to overwhelming demand for free silver from Birch Gold Group, they have extended the current promotion through Veterans Day on November 11th. Here's the deal. Buy gold and get free silver, which happens to be surging in price. For every $5,000 purchased from Birch Gold by Veterans Day, Birch Gold will send you a free 1-ounce patriotic silver round that commemorates the Gadsden and American flags. Gold is up over 60% since the beginning of this year, and Birch Gold can help you own it by converting an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Plus, they will send you free silver honoring our veterans. And if you are current or former military, Birch Gold is waiving custodial fees for the first year on investments of any amount. Text MK to the number 989898 right now for a free info kit and to claim your eligibility for free silver with purchase before November 11th. Again, text MK to the number 989898. I want to start with a couple of announcements. First, as you may know, SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111 is changing on Tuesday of next week, Election Day, over to the Megyn Kelly channel. Triumph will continue on. I think they haven't totally settled on the call numbers for the new Triumph, but they have settled? I don't know. At first I thought it was 123. Now Steve's telling me it's 125. But it's definitely going forward. So if you love Triumph, like I do, you will get that, and we will confirm what exactly the number is. But I think it's either 123 or 125. Anyway, we will stay here at channel 111, and it won't just be the Megyn Kelly Show. Of course, it's a whole Megyn Kelly channel. So I want to give you a couple of announcements here. We are adding some of our friends as part of our lineup. We announced already that Jesse Kelly was going to be joining the channel live at 6 p.m. Eastern each weeknight. Love that. Everybody needs a little red meat when it comes to dinner time. And I can also now announce that our friends from the Real Clear Politics podcast on SiriusXM will be moving over to join yours truly right here on the Megyn Kelly channel. Now they're going to be doing the show live right on this program, on this channel, which they don't do. Okay, so you're going to hear the guys from RCP, Tom Bevan, Carl Cannon, and Andrew Walworth, now bringing their news and analysis to serve as the lead-in to our show. They will be live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's great, because you can't get their podcast currently until the evening, and by the time the evening rolls around, sometimes you're busy. It'd be great if we could have them live at 11, which now you will on our channel. That starts on Wednesday of next week. Okay, we're going to have many more announcements coming. The lineup is populating by the day, so we'll launch it next week with some great starts, and then it will be dramatically filled in within the 2 months to follow. More announcements to come. Stay tuned. Okay. Oh, yes. Steve confirming now Triumph is going to be 1, 2, 3. That's easy to remember. So you can still get all of our favorites, Dr. Laura, Glenn Beck, Dave Ramsey on Triumph channel 1, 2, 3. And you can get the Megyn Kelly channel right here. Triumph, channel 111 on Sirius. Okay, let's get to some news. There's a lot going on today. What I want to start with is J.D. Vance appearing at the Charlie Kirk Turning Point event last night at the University of Mississippi. What an extraordinary evening. So he was introduced by Erika Kirk. And you know, the Vances have been so good to Erika, and she's really been leaning on Usha, who's been a complete rock for her. I love the fact that Usha Vance is able to play this role for Erika. She's a sweet, smart, strong woman. She's completely changed JD's life. I met her back in 2017 when I first profiled him in depth for NBC and went deep on his family, his sister Lindsay, his Aunt Wee, his mama, and Usha, who sat with us when I interviewed JD for that long piece in which JD said he felt like he projected used car salesman when people like me told him he should run for national office. It's before he was even running for Senate. And anyway, theirs is a deep love story. They met at Yale Law School, both brilliant, both brought very different things to the relationship. And among the gifts that Usha has is just a quiet strength. Just to be in her presence, you can see it. You have to be brilliant to wind up at Yale Law School and go on to clerk for the Chief Justice of the United States like she did. She's truly gifted intellectually, and I think she's, you know how they use that phrase of sound mind? I think she's really of sound mind. I mean, she's got like an especially sound mind. And like I said, a calmness to her that I think Erika has found comforting. I saw Erika literally leaning on her at the Charlie Kirk Presidential Medal of Freedom award ceremony a couple weeks ago at the White House. In any event, it's fitting. Erika's chosen her events post Charlie's death very carefully. And she pointed out last night that it was the 7-week anniversary or mark since Charlie was killed. And you know how that is, especially when you're close to somebody who dies. You count it in days, weeks, months, and eventually years. And she's still in the counting it in weeks phase of being a widow. So she flew cross country. She introduced J.D. Vance at University of Mississippi, and they both got a hero's welcome. Let me just show you the lines to get in. All right, Turning Point put this out, and you can see the people lining up. It's raining too, which really shows how badly they wanted to get in there. You know, it's like, it's tough to ask people to stand in a line all day. They've got their ponchos, they've got their umbrellas. It seems to go for miles and miles and miles. Andrew Colvert, the EP of Charlie's show, was reporting online yesterday that half of the students at the University of Mississippi applied for tickets. They were free, but half of all students at the university tried to get into this thing. And then on top of that, another 13,000 adults and faculty and so on. So look at this. Just for the listening audience, we're still showing the line. It's still going for all the time I've been talking. My God, there's no end to it. You can see the enthusiasm for Turning Point, for our sitting vice president, and of course for beautiful, sweet, sensitive Erika. Erika, there's video of her behind the stage, and she's wearing, for the listening audience, jeans and a white Freedom t-shirt like Charlie had on when he died. And they did something. Turning Point is very sophisticated on its productions and clever in the use of its tape. And they did something that I'm sure they got her blessing for. They used Charlie's voice to introduce Erika to the stage, obviously from an earlier appearance of hers. Can we play that with the sound, you guys? Do we have that?
Next speaker is a very, very special speaker, and she has had a heroic last year, and I believe she's the best mom in the world. Truly the best mom in the world. She is my hero and the love of my life. Join me in welcoming Erika Kirk.
She's now walking out at the University of Mississippi last night. Wow. Got tears in my eyes just watching that. You could see her just drop her arms to her side and take in the enormity of the crowd who had gathered there before her, truly to honor her, to honor Charlie, to honor the things that Charlie was fighting for. Which she's so strong. Honestly, it's like 7 weeks out is a short amount of time. And she has been forcing herself to do a few of these things just to keep now her organization going. and to keep Turning Point on people's minds, which is what Charlie would have wanted. She spoke to the crowd before JD came out, and here's a little bit of that. SOT 6.
Being the courageous generation that you are, stand up for the truth, defend life, love your family fearlessly, love your spouse fearlessly, love this country, defend her, and serve our God. And don't think that it's someone else's role to do it. You do it. You do it. Do it for Charlie. Do it for Charlie.
Wow. I mean, a standing room only in the auditorium. And you can feel the love that those students and others were sending to Erika, Kirk. That was a good decision. You know, she should only be going to places that are loving right now. She should stay off the internet with the insane theories that are being kicked around. People are so harsh. People are crazy. People are literally attacking her for seeming too together. You know, as if, I mean, there's like crazy theory. I don't want to get into it, but she should stay off the internet. And she should go to places like that where she can feel what's real. The love for Charlie, the love for her family, the love for her Turning Point family, which she and Charlie helped build. I mean, she helped Charlie build it in the later years and take it next level and inspired him to take his own life next level. I don't know. It's, you know, she's coming to our tour too. You know that, right? She's coming to Glendale, Arizona. It is all but sold out. I think we literally only have a couple tickets left. Forgive me if you get to the website and it's sold out, because last I looked, it was like there was a smidge left. You can you can try at megynkelly.com, but that's a big auditorium. That's like a big arena, and it sold out like almost instantly. Like almost, as soon as we announced she was coming, and you can just feel the enthusiasm for her, for Charlie still. That's going to be the most powerful night of the tour, with respect to all my other guests who I love. I think they would probably concede this too. We're finishing off the tour in Glendale, Arizona with Erika. And this will be her first, live on stage sit down talking about herself. She's giving one other interview to Fox and our pal Jesse Waters about Turning Point and Charlie. And that's good. That's good too. She should be doing what's right for Turning Point. But this one's going to be personal. And I don't know. It's weird to say I'm looking forward to it, but I am looking forward to it because I have a love for Erika Kirk that's like pretty profound. I feel the need to look after her. And I feel like this is, I don't know, I just kind of feel like Charlie wants me to do this, and I will do this, and I will handle it right. And I think Erika will leave feeling better, feeling like some important things were said and some important things were shared. In any event, looking forward to that. She introduced Vice President J.D. Vance, and when he got on the stage, take a listen to how the auditorium sounded here in SOT 7.
Ole Miss, I got a question. Are you ready?
Hell yeah. Damn right. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty. Who the hell are we? Hey. Flim flam, bim bam, Ole Miss by damn. It's a thing. Clearly he knew how to evoke the Ole Miss cheer, and the students responded totally appropriately. He then took the Q&A, and boy, oh boy, was that fun. He is so smooth. The way he handled himself, the way he interacted with these students, had virtually every right-wing publication today using the number 48. 48. Got up there. 48 was great. Let's look at some of it. Here is one of the sound bites that's gone viral, SOT 8. Watch it.
Pushing out policies that hurt us. And these policies are not even solving the problems. These policies are just creating chaos.
Ma'am, I can believe that the United States should lower its levels of immigration in the future, while also respecting that there are people who have come here through lawful immigration pathways that have contributed to the country. But just because one person or 10 people or 100 people came in legally and contributed to the United States of America, does that mean that we're thereby committed to let in 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people a year in the future? No, that's not right. We cannot have... I'll go and finish. We cannot have an immigration policy
She's raising her hand
where
again.
what was good for the country 50 or 60 years ago binds the country inevitably for the future. There's too many people who want to come to the United States of America, and my job as vice president is not to look out for the interests of the whole world. It's to look out for the people of the United States. Now,
Rock star. In the middle of the question, the woman raises her hand again. She's got a follow up. At one point, he says, I think it was to her, because he did allow like somebody to ask a multi-pronged question. He was like, let me see if I can condense the 9 questions you just asked me. It was her. He's funny, and he's very deft at maneuvering through these issues and condensing down like a lot of information into its most salient point and hitting it. It's from all the experience he's had. It's from his fearlessness and going on those Sunday shows with hostile media. Like there's not a corner he won't go into. Unlike the left, he's used to getting cross-examined by people who can't stand him. So answering a few questions from a couple of hostile students at University of Mississippi, not a problem. Here, he's asked about how his faith has helped him in his current job. Take a listen to SOT 9.
Can you tell us how your faith helps you in your role as vice president?
I grew up in a country where you just didn't hear political leaders talk about their faith, but the reason why I try to be the best husband I can be, the best father I can be, the reason why I care so much about all the issues that we're going to talk about is because I believe that I've been placed in this position for a brief period of time to do the most amount of good for God and for the country that I love so much. And I have 2 very important duties as Vice President of the United States, to the American people and to God, and that's the most important influence my faith has on me. Thank you.
He talked about how he is hoping that at some point his wife, Usha, will convert to Christianity. And I think he said she's agnostic. I think that's what he said. And forgive me if I've gotten that wrong. Pretty sure that's what he said. And that he's hoping that soon she will convert to Christianity. Yeah, that's what he said. And that'd be pretty extraordinary. He said they're raising their children Christian. And then he also talked about how he grew up in an area, of course, he was in Middletown, Ohio. He spent lots of his summers down in the Holla in Kentucky. And he talked about how where he grew up, people were faithful, but they did not talk about their faith. It was not like the way Charlie did it, but talked about how Charlie really influenced him on that front. And as he did with so many of us. Right now I'm on my 4th faith book that I've been reading just in the past couple of weeks, thanks to Charlie. I think a lot of us are going through that. And thanks to all of you too, by the way, who many of you emailed into the show and emailed me, Megyn, at megynkelly.com with your recommendations of faith-based books that could help somebody like me who's looking for a window of entry. I mean, obviously I'm Catholic, but I don't know the Bible. I don't know scripture. I certainly can't quote it the way Charlie could. And I have been having questions about faith given everything that's been going on with the annulment process that I'm pursuing on my first marriage. I think you guys have heard that story. So in any event, he can relate from the sound of it. Maybe Usha can relate from the sound of it. And maybe some of you guys can relate too. So good for him for taking that on. The question of what we're doing with our National Guard in U.S. cities came up. And this was an interesting answer because it kind of got to, I think, overall, in my view, also maybe some of the lawfare. It was basically, should we be more careful when we Republicans are in charge, understanding that we won't always be, and that when Democrat rule returns, some of these same tactics are going to get turned around on us. That's basically where I think this questioner was going. So take a listen to the question, but listen most importantly to how JD answers it.
You guys have sent the military into Washington, D.C. and a few other cities that I can't think of off the top of my head, which, first off, they've had wonderful results. Like, no one can deny the results of that. It's wonderful. Some might even say the greatest. Well, it's not necessarily something you did wrong, but it's what could someone else do wrong. Let's say we get a complete tyrant in office, and let's say Turning Point USA is having a huge protest against something really bad that we don't like, and let's say a president is saying that it's getting violent. How can we prevent someone from abusing that power?
Here's something that I want every conservative to remember. It's an important part of my entire political philosophy is we cannot be afraid to do something because the left might do it in the future. The left is already going to do it regardless of whether we do it. That is the takeaway of the last 40 years. What I'm worried about, frankly, is what the far left already did with American law enforcement, and that is the thing that we have to prevent against. And the answer to that question is you make sure the people who did it face penalties for using the federal power against American citizens.
Right on. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening. I mean, they're going through all these old files, and if it's beyond the point where a crime could be charged, they're just outing them to the media, and if it's something that's not a crime, but a scandal, they're outing it to the media. And if it's something that actually is a crime, like John Bolton allegedly sending classified documents to himself and his wife and his daughter without clearance, they're charging it. And some of the worst actors obviously are getting charged for other crimes that would not clearly have been charged but for the fact that they charged Trump with made-up crimes, like Tish James. She's at least getting charged with a real crime. Whether she did it, she'll have her day in court to prove one way or the other. But, I mean, no one's disputing that charge would not normally be brought against her. It was brought because she made several years of Trump's life a living hell when she tried to steal his business from him over bullshit made-up charges involving alleged bank fraud that he did not commit. I mean, it was just so obvious. All the banks said he paid us back with interest. We're delighted to do business with him. And she said, no, there's some inherent harm in just you having gotten these interest rates for some time. Well, now she's dealing with interest rates and accusations that she got some sort of a benefit, whether somebody was actually harmed or not. It's the turning of the tables. Fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. And if she's not guilty legally, we'll hear that from a judge or a jury. Fine. But I like the fact that he's standing behind it and he's not apologetic about it, because he's exactly right. They are going to do what they are going to do. We saw that during the Biden administration. How many times do we have to learn the lesson that they will be absolutely ruthless when in power? Absolutely ruthless. And the only question is whether Republicans are in power, they are going to try to hold those ruthless people to account. That's what's happening right now. So good for him for understanding that and understanding, what's the point of having power if you're not going to use it? That's what you were elected to do. Clean up these cities, get rid of these illegals, and restore some accountability to these disgusting offices that have been totally corrupted under Democrat rule, like the DOJ, like the FBI. Finally, the issue of faith came back up. And JD had more to say on the subject of faith in the public square. Take a listen to SOT 10.
As much as I hope and pray that we can be a nation of Christians, the idea of a Christian nation scares me. So I'd like to hear your feedback on a pretty nuanced argument here, that perhaps there should be a wall of separation, as at least one of our founders advocated, between church and state at the national level. However, that line can and should get blurrier as we descend to the community level.
If you go back to the First Amendment, it doesn't say separation of church and state. It says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion. But if you go back to the founding time, there were actually a number of states that had formally recognized churches. So there was the Anglican Church of Virginia. That was the official state church of Virginia. And yes, I do think that what happened is the Supreme Court interpreted Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion to effectively throw the church out of every public space at the federal, state, and local level. I think it was a terrible mistake, and we're still paying for the consequences of it today. But and I think this is your point, if you were to undo that if you were to get back to a system actually meant by the founders where Congress is not setting up an established religion, but people in their local communities can kind of do whatever it is that they want to do, I think that would be a better system than what we have today. But I think the most important principle that we have got to remember is you do not have to completely kick God out of the public square, which is what we've done in modern America. It's not what the founders wanted. It's not good for the United States of America. And anybody who tells you it's required by the Constitution is lying to you.
Amen. Religion was all over the public square when this country was founded. What do you see all over our money? In God we trust. Why is that there? The Ten Commandments were everywhere. We've deluded ourselves into believing that you can't have any mention of religion or that we're not actually a Christian nation, which was kind of baked into his question. We are a Christian nation. We are. And our Constitution was set up based on foundational principles of Christianity, including the Ten Commandments. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. There are a lot of, virtually every country in the Middle East is based on a different religion. Islam. Okay, that's how they want to live. Great. That's not how we want to live. That's fine too. It's the radical left that has made us pull religion out of every corner of the public square, and thanks to some radical judges who have issued some rulings suggesting you can't have any reference to it. And we need to get back to that. We actually need more religion in the public square. We do. We need more Christianity in the public square. That's the answer. That's the way out of this for everybody. More faith in the public square and in their lives, and more connection for people, and more dwarfing of oneself and understanding that there is something larger than you in this world that matters. There's a reason atheists and others push that out and have led us into being more and more godless. And I do think it's directly linked to those polls we talked about yesterday, where you've got between 20 and 30% of leftists who think political violence is acceptable, who think it's fine. And we saw that poll of Illinois primary voters in the Democrat Party thinking 81% of them say Trump and MAGA are Nazis. 81%. So I do think those people need to get back in touch with God, with their faith, and understand the roots of this country and what leads to happiness and what doesn't. A life of atheism and non-belief and disconnection to anything other than one's navel has proven to be deeply problematic and dangerous. And we're going down the wrong path. Okay, I want to keep going. Kamala Harris, she's finally subjected herself to a couple of mildly challenging interviews. And it's no coincidence that it happened overseas, right? We showed you the one with the British journalist the other day. And now we have an Aussie who works for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Her name is Sarah Ferguson. And take a look at this exchange that happened with these two. SOT 3.
Wasn't Joe Biden then, to put it on him, wasn't his refusal to recognize his own frailties the reason that you faced a nearly impossible task?
I ran against Donald Trump for president. And Donald Trump ran on a platform that was, in large part, I believe, misrepresenting his intentions to the American people.
Non-responsive.
I do believe that there are a fair number of people that voted for Donald Trump who believed him when he told them that his first priority on day one is going to be to bring down prices. And he didn't. And you combine that misrepresentation of intention with also what was at play in terms of massive amounts of mis and disinformation.
Now, forgive me.
And a truncated calendar in terms of the clock.
I want to interrupt you because that is a world-class pivot, but it is not the question that I asked you, which is about Joe Biden's failure to recognize his own frailties and what that did to you. The question is about Joe Biden. Are you still reluctant to criticize the former president?
In what regard, please?
Well, just in terms of that question. So you went on.
What exactly would you like to ask? Be more specific, if you don't mind.
She asked it
twice.
Was
it Joe Biden's decision, his failure to recognize his own frailties in that position, that put you in the position that made it almost impossible to win that race?
He was not frail as president of the United States.
But he had frailties.
Oh,
we
really?
all saw the debate.
I do believe that Joe Biden had the capacity to be president of the United States.
And she goes on to say, maybe not the capacity to run for president. She tries to draw some distinction. Listening audience, you have to watch this clip back on YouTube. Go to 28 after the hour. She looks dumbfounded. She's truly stunned that she's being asked a difficult question. It is amazing. It's been like the theme of our week here on the show as we watch these dumbfounded Democrats. Like, what are you doing? Like Karine Jean-Pierre, in the interview with the New Yorker, like they don't understand. Wait. No. And Kamala pretending you ask a precise question. The problem is your question. The question was very, very simple. Wasn't his refusal to recognize his own frailties the reason that you faced a nearly impossible task? Then she answered an entirely different question, talked about how Donald Trump promised affordability and he didn't deliver it. She got interrupted. And she said again, that's a world-class pivot. That's not the question I asked, which is about Joe Biden's failure to recognize his own frailties and what that did to you. The question is about Biden. Are you still reluctant to criticize the former president? In what regard? In the exact regard I just told you twice now. Twice I talked about his failure to recognize his own frailties. That's literally the phrase the reporter used in both of the questions. Kamala pretended she didn't understand. She did understand this one. She's not as dumb as Karine Jean-Pierre. And she just pretended she didn't because she didn't want to answer it. And then in what regard, people, which is like, what? Huh? You can tell she's flustered in terms of that question. What exactly would you like to ask? Be more specific. Okay, you know exactly what she's asking. You're stalling now for time because you're shocked. You've been asked a pointed question and you're being forced to answer it. And she asks it a third time. Was it Joe Biden's decision, his failure to recognize his own frailties in that position, that puts you in the position and made it almost impossible for you to win that race? He was not frail as president of the United States. Oh my God. Amazing. That's where she landed. He wasn't frail. Well, here we are all this time later. I mean, truly, it's going to be a year later next month that she lost. And she still can't admit the truth. Like, the gaslighting is amazing. And speaking of gaslighting, we did a story on AM Update. I think it was yesterday morning. My mornings are blending together. Talking about how all these people went in there and they pled the fifth, including Dr. Kevin O'Connor, President Joe Biden's personal physician. And the House Oversight Committee has now referred this all to the DOJ, saying, please investigate these people who took the fifth on what appears to be the greatest cover-up in presidential history, that Joe Biden was incompetent and non-compos mentis, and even his own physician appears to have been in on the cover-up. Please look at him, Pam Bondi, because he pled the fifth when he came before us at House Oversight. And we were talking about Dr. Kevin O'Connor in the piece, and we pointed out the fact that he helped before Joe Biden had won president. It was like 2017, 18, 19, right in that time frame there. So Trump was president. And he helped facilitate some business deal with a hospital group for Joe Biden's brother, James. And so Jim Biden got this sweetheart deal where right after Dr. Kevin O'Connor hooked him up with this medical group, he got a loan from that group of $600,000. And that day, $200,000 arrived across the transom. And later that same day, $200,000 went from Jim Biden to Joe Biden. Okay. It all seemed very suspicious. And why was Dr. Kevin O'Connor recommending Jim Biden to do anything with a hospital group when the guy had zero experience in hospital administration? It spoke to the overly familiar relationship that this doctor had with the Bidens, from Jill to Jim to Joe, and raised the question of whether Dr. O'Connor received any sort of a kickback. Well, we didn't know the answer to that because what we did have was a denial from James Biden's lawyer that this doctor received any kickback. But we couldn't ask the doctor himself because, again, he pled the fifth. Okay, and we went back actually to see who specifically, it was the Biden spokesperson, Joe Biden, who said there was no kickback. We went back to see who that was, who denied it. And it was a White House spokesperson named Ian Sams. And I remember thinking, I'm pretty sure that guy's lied to us many, many times. He's been on, we've run clips of him many, many times where he was denying the mental acuity problems and so on. And it was very clear to me he was a liar. And he's in the news today. Why is he in the news today? Because he too had to give an interview to the Oversight Committee. And he was asked about how he allegedly knew that Joe Biden was A-OK, something he said publicly and apparently insisted was true to the House Oversight Committee. How did you know? How much time did you spend with him? Like, walk us through the two of your relationship. And would you listen to this? SOT 1.
How often would you say that you interacted with the president in person?
I interacted with him pretty infrequently.
So, weekly, monthly, what are we talking about?
Very infrequent. I think I met with the president a handful of times during my tenure in the White House.
I pulled a couple quotes of interview you did on MSNBC, and one of the quotes says, "When I deal with him, he is sharp," him being President Biden, and he is asking tough questions. Do you recall this?
I got to say, that doesn't look anything like the president that I know. When I deal with him, he's sharp, he's asking tough questions. That's the President Biden that so many of us experience every single day.
So this statement, the basis for this statement was your interactions somewhere between 1 and 5 times.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that's a bit misleading?
I think it was pretty direct and honest, and said that when I do deal with him, he's sharp, and he was asking incisive questions during my meetings with him.
But you dealt with him 5 times in 24 months. That's not exactly a large scope of knowledge on how he interacts with staff. You don't think it's missing some context?
I don't.
Do you think that statement suggests that you deal with him more than you did?
I don't think so. I mean, I spoke about my own interactions with him. That's the President Biden that we experience every day.
Every day. By the way, he goes on to admit that he only saw him in person twice. Twice. In all those years. And he's running around on MSNBC saying he is sharp. He cross-examines with questions. That's the Biden we see every day. You never saw him. You lied. You're a liar. It's obvious. Ian Sams, you disgraced yourself. Why didn't you just say, in my position, I'm low person on the totem pole, and I don't get that much exposure to the president. But I will tell you, in the couple of times I've seen him, I give him an A+. That would be honest spin. But instead, you got caught in a lie. And then you had to admit it, and then you wouldn't confess to being out of context at a minimum. Those Republicans were being nice to you in the way they styled what you did on MSNBC. And that is why MSNBC viewers, in part, were grossly misled about the state of the president. They have you to blame. You, Kamala Harris, Karine Jean-Pierre, and Joe Biden and his family themselves, plus these top aides like Mike Donnellan, who we talked about the other day, who admitted he had not only $4 million in his pocket to get Biden reelected, but another $4 million promised to him if he could get him over the finish line. Okay, we're going to bring on Allie Beth in a second, but I just want to make two more points before we do. One of the things that I've been thinking about today, because yesterday was a 7-week mark on Charlie, is the Kirk family. And there was a video that was shown online, Erika posted it, of their little girl who's 3. And they appear to be going by the Turning Point HQ in Arizona. It's totally heartbreaking. And the reason I want to show it is because of the heartlessness of the left. We're only dealing with people who are serial fabulists, to put it nicely, for this guy Ian Sams and Kamala Harris, but who really have lost their humanity, as we've been covering on this show ever since Charlie died. The absolute inhumanity. And the people who, like Lucy Martinez, who mocked shooting herself in the neck when the Charlie Kirk truck drove by her No Kings protest, who's still working in Chicago schools. And all the others. She's not alone. All the Halloween costumes, all the celebration of Charlie, these fake costumes of like fake blood coming out of people's necks. It's disgusting. You remember this when you see those next time. Here's this little girl riding in a car past the Turning Point HQ.
Charlie, stop! I said, Daddy, Charlie, no!
She's singing her dad's name. She has no idea. She does not understand. She's too little to. And her little brother doesn't understand either, who is actually truly just a baby. So shame on those people. Shame on you, Jamie Lee Curtis, for taking back the sympathy you offered for him. Shame on you, Gavin Newsom, for trying to lie about how much your son admired him now that you've apparently received blowback from who knows whom on the left. Shame on you. It's not just the 7-week, 1-day mark since we lost Charlie. It also happens to be the 4-year mark since my dear friends Allison and Tom Barklage lost their son, Blake. Blake died at age 17 from a heart attack on this day 4 years ago after contracting myocarditis. Here we are. This is Allison and Tom, and that's their daughter, Lexi, who survived her big brother, Blake, at our annual 4th of July party where we dress up like colonial figures. Here's Blake, gone too soon at age 17. The parents don't know. We talked all about it. We did a piece on Blake, and we talked about the myocarditis. They don't know. He did have COVID, which can cause heart infection. He had received a double dose of the vaccine, as almost every teenage boy did, because those are the recommendations. Most places you couldn't even go to school. Most colleges, he was in high school, but couldn't even go unless you proved that you did it. And they don't know what caused the myocarditis exactly or what led to it, but they know it caused a heart attack in someone they adored too soon. And as a result, they lost their son, Blake, and Lexi lost her big brother, Blake. Here's a piece of the tribute we did to Blake a year or so after he died. What lessons has this taught you about why we're here, what your purpose is?
I mean, every time I'm hanging with my friends now, I always just take a second just to look around, because I feel like when I used to hang out with them, with my friends, I wouldn't live in the moment, I guess you could say, and it would go so fast and then it's over. Now, we're all leaving for college, the hangouts before last few weeks, I just look around and just, I can enjoy it so much more.
Clemson's man down going into this freshman year.
Yeah.
They lost a good one.
They did.
Oh, those were Blake's friends, Kyle and Hayden, who were there when he collapsed. And they're still suffering. But I wanted to tell you the upshot as we're thinking about Erika Kirk and we're thinking about Erika and Charlie's 2 babes. And that is the Barklages were determined. That's one of the reasons we profiled them, was because the mom and dad, who are dear friends of ours, just refused to give up. They refused to let their lives be ruined, to subject their daughter Lexi to a life of nonstop pain. They did turn their pain into purpose. And since then, they've formed this foundation, Blake Gives Back, which is helping do screenings at at schools across the nation for cardiac irregularities. And they've saved innumerable lives with kids who had no idea that there was something wrong, but the EKGs that they've been offering found them. In one case, it was one kid almost didn't go. He was the last one in. He barely got the test. He had something else going on. Sure enough, he had an issue. And he got it addressed thanks to this Blake Gives Back foundation that they're now running in honor of their son, powered by their son and his memory. So they've, Tom, you may remember he works at Johnson & Johnson. And that wasn't for whatever it's worth, the vaccine that Blake got. But he works at J&J, and he changed the bereavement policy there, which had only allowed for 5 days off in the loss of an immediate family member, to now 30 days off, which of course is what it should be. And J&J was very good about it, and has been very supportive of the Barklages. It's just, I'm just thinking about it, because in the initial stages here, and when you're 2 months in, most people can't even function. Never mind think about, when we ran that tribute for Blake, Tom and Allison, they hadn't formed Blake Gives Back. They hadn't done anything. I remember saying, like, you might want to consider like a foundation or something, but it was like, you're still dealing with your grief. So it's a couple things. Number one, 4 years later, they're on their feet. Lexi, well, I'll tell you about her in a second. We talked about in the piece, and I can barely tell the story without getting choked up, but Blake had wanted to go to he was on the fence between, I think, Clemson and Georgia, but he really liked Clemson. And he said, Dad, I think I could get a scholarship to Clemson. He had really good grades. And Tom said, Blake, if you get a scholarship to Clemson, you can go. And they made a bet about whether Blake could do it. And then Blake died on October 30th, 2021. And they called all the colleges to which Blake had applied. He was a senior in high school. It was the fall of his senior year. And they withdrew Blake's applications because they didn't want Blake to get the spot of some aspiring college attendee. And I guess Clemson didn't get the message because they mailed the package to Tom and Allison and Blake, and it was a huge envelope. And they knew immediately what it was. And he had gotten into Clemson with the scholarship. It's like, of course, Tom, Allison's more stoic as between them. She cries privately, but Tom's got his emotions on his sleeve. And, to hear him tell the story, there wouldn't be a dry eye in the house. But their daughter, Lexi, was a couple years younger than Blake and now is an only child in the family, is at Clemson now herself. And they go down and they visit with her and they go to the football games and they celebrate. And there is a way forward for families who are suffering. We had the Deer family on yesterday that lost their son. He died by suicide, coaxed into the act by ChatGPT. They allege in a lawsuit that they are likely to win, in my view. They're still dealing with it. They're only 6 months into this. But there is a way forward for families like Erika's, like our family yesterday, like the Barklages. And the Barklages are a great example of it, of how you do it with dignity and grace, and you keep the loved one and their life and their name fresh in people's memories. And in that way, you keep them alive. In that way, you keep their memory alive. I'm so proud of them and how they've dealt with loss. If you want to see the piece, you can see it on our website, youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and see for yourself how it is possible to deal with the pain of loss, especially as we go into the holiday season, right? A lot of people feel it. My own sister passed a year after I did that piece on Blake. Little did I know when I was doing a piece on my dear friend's loss that I'd suffer a profound one of my own a year later. And that stuff can always come up this time of year. I always feel like Halloween is the kickoff to, the true holiday season. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, there's Hanukkah, then you get the New Year. It can bring up a lot for people. So check out on our website. I don't know, Steve, is there a way of re-upping it so people don't have to go searching down the website? Yeah, he said we'll put it on our homepage so you guys can check it out. So in any event, you can consider donating to Blake Gives Back. That's not why I raised this, but it's a great cause. We donate every year and help do screenings for kids. And they also help kids who just had heart surgeries and transplants go to summer camp so that they can have some time outdoors. There's a number of causes that they support that are wonderful. And just honestly, the lesson is always the same, which is hug your children, hug your spouse, be kind to your spouse. Ask your spouse today what you can do for them. Ask your sibling what you can do for them. Call them up, see how they are. What do they say? Your parents go too soon, children come too late, but your siblings are there for the whole ride, or at least they should be. Okay, so that's my message for the day. I'm sorry if that felt like a downer, but I hope you took it a different way. I hope it inspires you to lean into the love in your life. We're back right after this with Allie Beth Stuckey. If you've ever Googled yourself, you know how many results contain your personal information. It's alarming, but it's not by chance. Your info is available. Your name, your address, your phone number, your financial info, your income, your legal, even your health history. It can be sold and shared publicly without your consent. It's such BS. There are real risks here, including financial scams, identity theft, unfair targeting by insurance companies, and general safety risks. But I want to tell you about Incogni. Incogni helps you take control of your online privacy. You sign up, you allow them to act on your behalf, and they demand that these data brokers delete your personal info. Now they've introduced something huge, custom data removals. With their unlimited plan, Incogni's privacy team gets your info taken down from any specific site. Right now, you can get 60% off an annual plan by heading to incogni.com/Megyn and using the code Megyn at checkout. It's risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Take your personal data back with Incogni. Get 60% off an annual plan at incogni.com/Megyn. That's INCOGNI.com/Megyn. Code Megyn when you check out. It's finally here. All right, let's get this party started. Megyn Kelly live on tour across America.
I was like, we have to go. And then after what happened to Charlie, I'm like, we definitely have to go.
The best way to honor Charlie's legacy is to be out here, to be unafraid, to not back down.
Stand firmly. Do not waver on the truth.
Next stop, White Plains, Jacksonville, Miami, and Atlanta. So go get your tickets right now before they sell out. MegynKelly.com. Presented by Y-Refi and SiriusXM. Joining me now, Allie Beth Stuckey. She is the author of Toxic Empathy. Great title and great book. And she's host of Relatable with Allie Beth Stuckey. Welcome back. Great to see you, Allie.
Thanks so much. Great to see you, Megyn.
Okay, so we have to kick it off with this disturbing news out of New Jersey and Colorado. Both states passing laws now making abortion available throughout the entire pregnancy, all the way up to 40 weeks. And both states are now touting clinics that have opened or are about to open. The one in Colorado is leaning in. They say, oh, we're going to draw the line at 34 weeks. 34. Now, not to make this personal, but I did ask Abby, my assistant, who went into early labor on her first child. She had her child at 31 weeks. And she's a beautiful, vibrant, awesome kid. 31. They are talking about killing babies at 34 weeks and beyond in Colorado and New Jersey. They've lost their ever-loving minds. Allie Beth, what do you make of it?
Oh, my goodness. Well, let me preempt what I know is a rebuttal that a lot of pro-choicers say. You've got a lot of reasonable, moderate people in your audience who might be thinking, well, Megyn, they only have abortions at 34 weeks or in the third trimester because there's something wrong with the mother. They've got to save the mother's life, or there's something wrong with the child. Look, the reality is, and this is not just me, this is an OBGYN perspective that I've heard many times. There is never a reason at that point in the pregnancy to kill the baby to save the mother. If the mother has to deliver, that does happen. She has preeclampsia or something like that. You deliver the child. There's no reason to kill the child first. And look, if a child has some kind of fatal fetal anomaly diagnosis, then you still care for the child. I don't believe that a diagnosis of special needs should justify the murder of a human being in or outside of the womb. There really is no justification for this whatsoever.
The one in Colorado is opening because the one they had been using, called the Boulder Abortion Clinic, just closed its doors after Dr. Warren Hearn retired following 50 years of performing late-term abortions in Boulder. And the Washington Times reporting that at least half of his late-term clients had no diagnosis of severe fetal abnormalities. Not a one, at least half. They say it as follows. The Atlantic did an article on this in 2023. Quote, the reason doesn't really matter to Hearn. Hearn believes the viability of fetus is determined not by gestational age, but by a woman's willingness to carry it. And so now this new clinic is going to become one of an estimated 5 U.S. clinics offering abortions up to 34 weeks of gestation, which is 10 weeks after fetal viability, where that child can live on its own outside of the womb. It's so disgusting. It's amazing to me. Colorado has no limits whatsoever. And one pro-life woman posted this video, Allie. Her name is Lydia Taylor Davis, and she's part of Students for Life. She called one of these abortion clinics, I don't know which one, just to see what they would say. if she was like inquiring about getting an abortion at 34 weeks. A warning to the audience, this is disturbing. Here it is.
How can I help you?
I'm looking to have an abortion.
How far along are you?
I'm 34 right now. My boyfriend is kind of out of the picture now, so I don't really have any support.
It's a 4 to 5 day procedure. A needle is inserted through the abdomen and into the fetal heart. Lidocaine is injected, and that will completely numb the fetus. After that, we inject a medication called digoxin and another medication called KCL, which will slow and then stop the fetal heartbeat. And then we'll give you a medication called misoprostol. Misoprostol will sort of induce contraction, will assist you in sort of pushing in the induction, and then remove all of the products of conception. You're definitely going to feel discomfort and cramping, but we do give you fentanyl and Versed during the procedure. We specialize in later trimester care. Our doctor is very well versed in what he's doing, and he's very good.
So I'm not like a rare situation. Y'all help women this late in pregnancy all the time?
All the time.
Wow. What jumped out at me there, Allie Beth, was the products of conception. We'll make sure the products of conception are out of you.
Yes, they have to euphemize before they euthanize this child because they know that saying what they're doing, killing this child, just isn't good PR. It's not good messaging. So they've had to dehumanize what a baby in the womb is so much so that people will be calloused when they hear about abortion. And I just want to decode something there that woman on the other end, she said, we inject something called KCL. KCL stands for potassium chloride. Potassium chloride is the same chemical combination that is used in the lethal injection of death row inmates to stop their heart. However, of course, how that is conducted on death row inmates is actually a lot more merciful because they are put to sleep before this. But for a child, that is injected to the heart, into the heart of the baby, this wiggling, living human being injected into their heart to force cardiac arrest, to force a painful heart attack in this baby. And then they are delivered and dismembered and discarded like toxic waste. That is what is happening in the second and third trimester abortions that they're acting like is no big deal, just like a root canal.
Oh my God. I mean, I hate to even ask this, but what do they do with the remains of 34-week-old babies who are killed like that by their own mothers? Like, there's no burial. They're not going to a cemetery. I mean, are they treated like medical waste?
They're treated like medical waste, or in some cases, from what we've seen from investigations over the years, they are donated to science. We know this actually, the NIH has talked about funding that kind of research before, and they'll say, oh, it's an elective abortion, so it's no big deal. But of course, there probably is some kind of monetary incentive there. I don't think we really truly know just how dark this industry is. I mean, if you're willing to kill a child, I don't think that you have any moral limits that would stop you from profiting off of that.
It's amazing, like the procedure we just discussed and the potassium chloride injected into the baby's heart by its mother, by his or her own mother. It's just so dark when you actually frame it in real terms, which you're never afraid to do. You've been so good on this issue. You actually went on that show Surrounded, which Charlie went on, Ben Shapiro's gone on. They asked me to go on there, Allie. I was like, I'm not going on there. That's crazy talk. I'm not doing it. So hats off to you for taking on the challenge. You're very brave. And you're an expert on this. Like, you're so good on this issue. And you took on 20 young people who were very pro-choice. And here's a little bit of how that went in SOP 15.
When the majority of abortions happen, which is in the first 6 weeks of pregnancy, that fetus has not developed pain receptors. That doesn't happen till maybe at the earliest 10 weeks, Allie.
So are you saying that
most
murder...
experts say 22 to 24 weeks.
Is killing only wrong if someone can feel pain?
It's wrong for you to characterize it as violent.
It is
and
violent.
Painful when it's not.
It is violent. There are a lot of people who are murdered who can't feel it. Are you saying that murder is justified because they can't feel it?
No, we're talking about abortion.
We're talking
Allie,
about
we're not talking about something else. We're talking about abortion. Abortion is health care for women who need it, who have unwanted pregnancies.
In what other case is killing an innocent
12-year-old girls
person?
Who have been raped, who have experienced incest, Allie?
That's less than 1% of all abortions. If I said to you, okay, fine, we will only allow, which this is not my position, but if I said we will only allow abortion in those 1% of cases in which it's rape or incest, would you agree with me? To ban the rest of abortions?
The denial,
99%?
the denial of abortion health care to women is 100% harmful to the woman who absolutely needs it.
And abortion is 100% harmful to the child.
Well done. So not to college students in that instance, but progressives who are opposed to you on the issue. And that guy was, I don't know what that guy's stake in it was, but boy, oh boy, he really wanted those babies killed.
Yes, he was very worked up. That was such an experience. It was actually the day before Charlie's memorial. I was working on very little sleep. I was sad. There was so much stress and I wanted to cancel. But one of the last conversations that Charlie and I had was about Jubilee. He loved Jubilee. He loved debating, as we all know. He was the best at it. And he had sent me probably 40 texts in a row saying, this is what you need to do. This is how you need to go in there. This is the strategy. And I really carried that with me. I really did. And I felt like, of course, I'm trying to do this for the glory of God. I'm trying to do this for conservatives and Christians. But I really felt like also, I want to do this for Charlie, because I know that if he were here, he would say, you cannot cancel this. You have to go in there. You have to go in the lion's den. So yeah, I was very, very grateful. And actually the first person who sat down, they didn't show this in the final cut, but he was so sweet. He sat down and he said, I am so sorry about your friend Charlie. And that completely changed the tone of the entire debate. And it really did kind of just endear me to them and made it easier to debate them in some ways.
That's great. That's amazing. Can I ask you something, Allie? Because you've been so good on your faith. You're just like Charlie in that regard. You could quote scripture with the best of them. What have you been doing to get through, like, the grief around Charlie's death? Like, what do you turn to? Does it ever cause you to question your faith? Like, how have you been experiencing these last 7 weeks?
Yeah, gosh. The last time I was on was the day that Charlie was murdered. I was on that morning talking about what I thought would be the saddest story of the day, and that's Irina Zarutska. I had already, all three of us, you, me, and Megan Basham, had all been on the verge of tears, if not actively crying, watching this terrible footage. I finished our interview and I got in the car to go to the doctor's appointment. And I got a text from my publicist saying Charlie Kirk has been shot. And I just thought, okay, that's not real. She heard that, or like he was shot in the arm or something crazy, which is obviously terrible. But I called our mutual friend. And as soon as he picked up the phone, he wasn't even talking. He was crying. And I was like, oh, okay, this is real. And of course, I turned around, broke down. My husband and I, who worked together, so we were both home, just completely lost it, praying, and of course, everything that everyone was doing. And I can't even imagine how Erika felt, infinity times more than you and I felt. But man, I've just been so distraught in so many ways. Of course, it's gotten better for us, those of us who are more removed, but there are still days where it just catches me in my throat or it hits me in the gut. And I just find myself on the verge of tears. When you were playing that video of his daughter saying, Daddy, Charlie Kirk, I mean, I can't even say it, not only because of how sad that is for them, but also because, I've got a 6'4" and 2-year-old daughters myself. And it's like their voice, it sounds like them. And I'm just so sad and so devastated. And you asked if it makes me doubt. I mean, of course, there are times that I question, like, why him, or why this? Why now? Why would you allow this to happen? And then I go to the memorial, and I saw you there very briefly. And I don't know about you, but I felt maybe more tangibly than I've ever felt, like just the presence of the Holy Spirit. There was this moment when the worship team was playing, and it was just instrumental, which I learned was totally spontaneous. And everyone started holding up their Charlie Kirk signs that said, send me, I'll go, or here I am, send me, which is a Bible verse from Isaiah. And it felt like this out of body spiritual experience. And while this is not always a satisfying answer because it's still so tragic and seemingly premature and sad, I'm like, oh, okay, God is doing something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know that Bible sales are up. I know that people are going back to church. I know that I personally have had more opportunities to share the gospel than I maybe ever have in my entire life, just in the past few weeks. More questions from people who say, I used to hate you. I used to hate Charlie's message, but now I want to know what he died for. And so it doesn't make it any less sad. And even Jesus wept when his friend Lazarus died. But I do know that God is in the business of redemption, that he brings beauty out of ashes, that he brings light into darkness and hope when it seems like we have every reason to despair. And so I know he's doing something bigger and better than what I would do or what I can see. And that is faith. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for. It's the confidence in the things that we cannot see. He doesn't spell it out for us. He doesn't show us what it's going to look like. But I do see now clearly that Charlie, he had to work as hard as he did and get up as early as he did and work as many days as he did because God knew that he would die at 31. So he had a limited time to get it all done. That's not what all of us are called to, but that's the pace that he had to go on his race because he was going to die early. And thank the Lord, he finished really well.
Did you see the text messages that Candace Owens posted between her and Charlie from, I think she said it was 2018. So it was, a few years back, but they were chilling because they showed that Charlie knew he was likely to die early. Like he was openly texting with her back then that he has nightmares about how it's going to end. Like he felt pretty sure he knew how it was going to end. I'm trying to see if I have it on my phone because I think I grabbed it.
Yeah.
I screen grabbed it because I was so like, oh my God, this is shocking.
I did see that. That is extremely chilling.
Oh, here, I have it. Stand by. Okay. He wrote for the listening audience. This is per Candace in a text exchange she posted. He writes, you are going to be the Kanye, you are going to be the Iron Lady of America. I see it so freaking clearly. I might be Moses, though. I might not see this whole thing through. LMAO. If that is the case, be my David. She wrote, dude, you don't even realize your power yet. He responded, if I tell you the true prophecy I know in my gut, it's really sad, but I hope it's wrong. And then he went on to say as follows, anyway, I'm not sure if I will live to see the end of this revolution. I believe you are the piece God meant me to meet that will finish the fight. Since the beginning of Turning Point USA, I knew in my gut that I might get wiped out at any time. I cannot explain it, but I dream about it all the time, like all the time. Anyway, that's a depressing conversation for another time, right? He says, and then he finally says, I'm not really afraid of it, but I'm just telling you what I know to be true. That is, I'd never heard Charlie talk like that. I didn't realize he knew, like I knew he was coming under increasing security threats, Allie, but that really does show you, frankly, how brave he was and also how insane the left has gotten for a long, long time.
Yeah. And, it kind of dispels, I think, a lot of the rumors or innuendo that have surrounded him and the cause of his death over the last few months, because we've been hearing, it was only in the last few months that Charlie started feeling this pressure and he felt like, oh my gosh, they're going to hurt me. Well, this goes to show actually he felt that 7 years ago. And I don't know why he would have had, that intuition, except for maybe God at least was telling him, hey, we got things to do. Okay. You don't have that much time. I mean, that's really haunting. I don't think any of us would like to hear that message, but what a man that Charlie was, that instead of saying, okay, I'm out. That's, I think, what most of us would do. If we had this premonition that we're going to be slaughtered, most of us would stop talking. Most of us would get out of the fight and say, I'm going to go be an accountant. I'm going to stay home. He could have done that. He was so smart. He could have made a lot of money in business doing whatever he wanted to. But he knew, as well as a finite human could, that, okay, I think I'm going to die for this. And he went even harder. Like he went even more public. He went into the lion's den more often. I mean, that is the kind of courage that I think most of us don't have, and a kind of faith in God that, okay, I don't know what this looks like, but I'm just going to follow you, even though it's really scary. It actually reminds me of Jesus. And I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk is Jesus. I'm just saying this reminds me of when Jesus is about to go to the cross and he knows what's about to happen. And he's in the Garden of Gethsemane and he says, Jesus, who is God? He says, Father, please take this cup from me. Like, I don't want it. I don't want to suffer in this way, yet not my will, but your will be done. And again, Charlie is not the savior, but all of us as Christians are called to do that. Lord, I don't know what this looks like, but you're calling me to do it. And I'm just going to obey you and trust you. And he knew, like Charlie knew that the cost was worth it. And that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is extraordinary. All great points. Not everyone shares this commitment to faith. Some people find it worthy of mocking. And that leads me to former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who is in the news today for the following soundbite. She's such an odd, strange, nasty person. Here is SOT 13.
Do you agree with apparently a big swath of Americans, according to our last election, that Democrats pushed the country too far to the left, specifically on cultural issues?
No, I don't agree with that at all. I think that we are a reflection of our country. We are a beautiful, diverse country. And if they find that offensive with their DEI initiatives and they want to sell it as we're also left, it's ridiculous. So they're undermining our culture. Look, there's certain people in the country who don't want to see women, LGBTQ, people of color, immigrants taking their place in anything. And that's just the way it is. That's their problem.
Oh, really?
That's not America's problem. So we respect everybody in our country. So for them to be saying what they're saying about people is like, and you're people of faith? You're people of faith? You go to church on Sunday and pray in church on Sunday and pray on people the rest of the week? What is this?
She slipped into a little fake Southern accent there. You're going to pray on Sunday? And then what is it? You're people of faith? Okay. Your thoughts on her not challenging the faithfulness of those on the right who she thinks just want to get rid of people who don't look like them.
Look, if Democrats represented America, those are her words as a quote, then they would have won the election. Then they wouldn't have had a problem winning the election because they would have had the majority of the vote. But they didn't. They didn't just lose the electoral vote. They lost the popular vote too. So that means you don't represent the values of most of America. Maybe there is a tiny sliver percentage of people who hate all of those categories that she just listed. They're not enough to win an election. I don't even think they're enough to influence an election. So this is what the internet calls a cope. She is coping. Instead of being self-aware and saying, how can we win the next election? How can we change? How can we moderate? She's not even attempting to do that.
Right. And she's basically ignoring the question was about polls that have just come out showing that the Democrat Party has realized that it's gone too far to the left. And Democrats think in particular on immigration and crime, like this massive survey that they did of tens of thousands of Democrats, that they've gone too far left, in particular on immigration and on crime, but also on social issues. So the report is basically saying, do you agree? And she manages to twist it into a right-wing people are threatened by black and brown people and anyone who doesn't look like them while lying about their faith. Okay. So this is a woman who, very much favors abortion and is going to church and taking communion. Okay, all right. I don't think she should be our teacher on matters of faith. Okay, let's keep going because I've got to ask you about Glamour. Glamour UK, it's a women's magazine, and they are presenting their Women of the Year awards. And I realize no one really cares what Glamour thinks, but this one's so egregious, it's worthy of a mention. On the cover of Glamour UK is not, well, I'll show you the cover. For the listening audience, we have 9 people here who look like women, sort of, in skimpy little shirts that read something about the dolls. And it says, protect the dolls, protect the dolls. And it's not like, see if you can find the trans person in here. They're all trans. All 9 of these people are men pretending to be women. And the cover literally reads Women of the Year. And then they go through and do interviews with these women who are, I guess, fine with the protect the dolls slogan. One of them objected, but everybody else seemed fine with it. Here's one. Munya. She's a model in London. He is a model in London. There's a level of privilege whiteness provides for dark-skinned black people, and then he says, for dark-skinned black people, including in fashion, it's also harder for us to access the opportunities than our white counterparts. So this guy's got it all going on. I'm black. I'm a man pretending to be a woman. And I object to white privilege and also women privilege, which I want to have but can't. Then there's another one, Belle Priestley, who says, One big thing you would really like to see change for, quote, trans women. Belle would like the following to change. I'd love the narrative to be changed around dating us, particularly for guys. It's not a crime to fancy trans women, meaning men. It's not a negative thing. The stigma makes our lives hell. That, like, straight white guys don't want to go to bed with these people. And here's the last one I'll read to you. This person goes by Maya Memi, who's a DJ and musician in London, and says the following. I think people just need to understand, not only are we human, most of us are badder than everyone else. Put some respect on it, bitch. I look better than you. I dress better than you. I smell better than you. Please learn that and understand that. One of Glamour's potential, quote, women of the year. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's definitely a woman I want to share a bathroom with my daughters. Sounds lovely. Okay, gosh, I've just got so many thoughts on this. So a doll is a fake woman. Are they trying to be on the nose? Like protect the dolls? Are they like a fake woman, like a doll? I'm just not totally sure what the positive PR messaging is surrounding that. I just find this very disturbing. You know, the UK has made some really good advances in recognizing that, you know, things like puberty blockers are dangerous for children. They're dangerous for everyone, should not be given to adolescents. And yet this media company is hoisting up this absolute delusion that a man can be born in the wrong body and can be a woman by declaration, and that we should submit to that. That women should submit to no man except for the man who puts himself in a skirt and comes into my bathroom. No, thank you.
Okay, that leads me, last but certainly not least, to Sydney Sweeney, who is all woman, real woman, actual woman, and absolutely stunning. So she was on the red carpet. What was she on the red carpet for? I can't remember what she was doing there, but she was on the red carpet last night, and she decided to show off her number one asset, which, contrary to the American Eagle jeans ad, is not really her jeans. It's her enormous breasts, which are spectacular. No one would take that away from her. But controversial opinion, Allie, I object to this. I disapprove of the dress she wore because it's completely see-through. You can see her entire, like, nipples. She reminded me of Kim Kardashian, you know, who overshares and then takes away, like, the thing that is the sexiest, which is, like, every guy's hoping to be the one who actually sees them for real and leaving a little to the imagination. Now, I know this is being universally celebrated online, but I have to say, even though Sydney Sweeney fan, love the jeans campaign, I thought this is a rare misstep. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, she's absolutely beautiful, and no one at all is trying to deny that. But I mean, I am definitely pro-modesty. It's not that I'm pro-burqa, but I think that we should do everything we can to, like, draw the eyes to the beauty of the face. There's nothing wrong with a womanly figure. I think that God made it, and it is beautiful. And there's a way to dress that with dignity and respect. But I feel like we could draw the line at areola. Like, I don't know.
Yes.
Like, I just feel like maybe...
Draw the line at areola. That should be the rule.
T-shirts. Make T-shirts, Megyn. Sell them in your merch shop, please.
So walk me through this, because I actually am curious. We've seen this as a growing trend among these Hollywood celebrities. And it's always a very beautiful woman. I will say, unlike going to the beaches of France, where the nude people are always gross old men, the women who take it all off for these photo shoots in America do tend to have the rocket bodies. And I get it. Like, was it that Irina Shank or whatever? I don't want to wrongfully disparage the model who was, like, walking across the hotel lobby at Cannes, France in nothing, by saying the wrong one. But we've seen this. Then the Kanye wife pictures, Bianca Censori showing up literally naked at the Grammys. More and more, Lauren Sanchez going out in, like, a outfit that's just pure lace, just strategically covering only a couple of things. Why? Why do these otherwise stunning women, who would get plenty of attention just by wearing, like, a well-styled dress and having their hair and makeup, you know, done right, why do they feel the need to take it here?
I think there are so many answers for this. I think maybe on an individual level, it's probably as superficial as just liking the attention, liking how they look in the mirror, knowing that they are going to be written positively about. And maybe Sydney Sweeney has just been like, okay, I'm going to be a lightning rod and I'm going to cause controversy. Maybe her PR people have decided that that's a good thing. On a macro cultural level, you could say that it is like a big pendulum swing to the other side. On the one hand, you have, men can be women. There is no definition of a woman. Femininity is something that is weak, and a white cis hetero woman should never be on the cover of any magazine. So maybe it's a little bit of a swing of Sydney Sweeney saying, you know what, I'm hot and I know I'm hot. I know people think I'm hot and I don't really care. So you could kind of analyze it in two different ways, but Occam's razor, it's probably the most obvious thing. It's probably just because she likes how she looks.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I'd much rather look at Sydney Sweeney in a sheer dress at whatever event this was than look at 9 fake women on the cover of UK Glamour. Much rather. I guess I just want, like, for my daughter, I want her to look at amazing women like that and say, I can be totally sexy when that time comes in my life with an appropriate outfit on. Like, I don't actually have to show areola in order to get male attention or feel gorgeous or sexy. I don't know. I mean, I kind of think she might have been misled into it. That's my bet. Because like when I did a saucy photo shoot one time for, it was GQ, I think. It was GQ. And when I turned 40, but it was like what I wore was appropriate. It was just a slip dress. That's all it was. I did not show anything close to areola. And I never would. But I think probably she's very young. I think she's only like 26. And I guarantee you somebody brought the dress to her and was like, now we'll take it next level. And she trusted the wrong person. And before you knew it, we had all seen it. And she's not going to hurt her at all. It's just people like us who I think were becoming her new fans who are like, oh, okay, that wasn't the move.
No. And self-objectification is still objectification. And look, like, I think all porn is bad. I think it's horrible. I think it's bad for people. And I think this kind of thing is making it even more difficult for the honorable men out there who said, I'm not going to look at porn. I'm not going to go to porn websites. It's bad. That addiction is horrible. It ruins relationships and sexuality and all of that. Well, things like this make it even more difficult because now you don't even have to go to a porn site. All you have to do is log on to X or open up Instagram or something like that. And you've got Sydney Sweeney with her full titties out. And that is just like, that's just tough. That's just tough. And for those of us who don't want to see it, like I didn't, none of us chose to see something like that. And now the fullness of someone's nakedness is on display. I don't like it.
There is fullness, that's for sure. I did not have Allie Beth Stuckey saying titties on my bingo card for today's show.
I probably shouldn't have, Megan. You probably brought it out in me. By the way, I'm saying that it's not good.
I needed the laugh today. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
awesome.
Megan.
A pleasure, as always. Okay, coming up next, the man who could be the next governor of New Jersey, and amazingly, he's a Republican. We will talk to Jack Ciattarelli right after this break. Throughout history, what's the first freedom tyrants try to silence? Religious liberty. Because when your rights come from God, not government, they cannot be taken away. Lose this freedom and you lose America. That's why First Liberty Institute is offering a free guide, America's First Freedom, the Antidote to Tyranny. As we approach America's 250th birthday, learn how to protect, defend, and celebrate this sacred right, just as our founders intended. Get your free copy today at firstliberty.org/Megyn. That's firstliberty.org/Megyn. Get yours today, firstliberty.org/Megyn. Paid for by First Liberty Institute. Let's be honest, America can still be a dangerous place, and you cannot afford to wait when you need help. Sure, you could use a firearm, but in today's America, defending yourself with deadly force can have legal consequences, and you don't always need deadly force. According to FBI data, in fact, 99.9% of all altercations don't require lethal force. And that's exactly why so many are turning to Byrna. Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A. It's proudly American. It's hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. These are less lethal self-defense launchers. They look like a regular firearm. You can get one in black that looks exactly like a Glock, or you can get one in orange that's more obviously something other than a gun. And they are trusted by hundreds of government agencies, law enforcement departments, and private security companies. Over 600,000 Byrna pistols have been sold, most to private citizens who just refuse to be victims. Byrna launchers fire rock-hard kinetic rounds, which, hurt so badly that they hurt somebody. But also, you could opt for the other, like pellet, bullet, whatever you call it, which is a powerful tear gas and pepper projectile. And with that thing, you don't even have to hit the perpetrator. You just get it on the wall next to the perpetrator or within a few feet of the perpetrator. It's basically like a really, really strong pepper spray that's going to incapacitate him. That one's capable of stopping a threat from up to 60 feet away. No background checks on this, no waiting periods, and Byrna can ship straight to your door. A lot of women I know really love this. Take responsibility. Protect your future. Visit Byrna.com right now or your local Sportsman's Warehouse to have it, right? Like you can have your firearm, you can have your Byrna, or if you're not a firearm person, you can have just your Byrna. BYRNA.com or go to your local Sportsman's Warehouse. Visit now and be prepared to defend. New Jersey has long been a blue state, with Democrats winning most elections easily. The last time the state voted for a Republican for U.S. Senator was 1972. The last time the state voted for a Republican president was George H.W. Bush in 1988. Republican Chris Christie made national news when he was elected governor in the Garden State in 2009 and then again in 2013, but that did not end well. Republican Jack Ciattarelli shocked many when he lost to the incumbent Democrat governor Phil Murphy back in 2021 by just 3 points. All of us were like, what? 3? That's an amazing feat in the state of New Jersey. Well, Ciattarelli's once again the Republican nominee for governor. And with his opponent, Mikey Sherrill, mired in multiple scandals and the state struggling, MK Media's own Mark Halperin, host of Next Up with Mark Halperin, says Ciattarelli has a real chance of victory here.
All the issues he raises, energy costs, traffic congestion, jobs, all these things are problems in taxes. All these things are problems in New Jersey. So I think that message not just fits the mood of the state and is what the same kinds of things that got Chris Christie elected. So even though it's become a very blue state, they haven't elected a Republican senator in forever or voted for a Republican for president, I think since Bush 43 or 41. They did elect Chris Christie not long ago on all the same kind of themes: corruption in Trenton, economics out of whack, et cetera. So I agree with Dan that Ciattarelli's momentum is not what it was, but no one I know in either party who works in the state familiar with this race, no one would be surprised if Ciattarelli won. No one.
Oh, here with me now, Jack Ciattarelli himself. Jack, so nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, Megyn. And on Tuesday, I'm going to make you a true believer. We're going to win this race.
Oh, shoot it in my veins. How? How exactly are you going to do it? The polls are tightening, and I've been very encouraged by the latest polls. But how do you get it over the finish line?
First of all, Megyn, the polls that we trust, including Emerson this morning, have it as literally a dead heat. There's a couple that have me up by a point or two. Listen, people across the state are ticked off after 8 years of failed policies of the current administration, all of which have been endorsed by my opponent. She's not from New Jersey. She hasn't been able to answer the most basic questions. And as you mentioned at the very beginning, there's been a number of scandals that call into question her character. We're just going to continue to get out there. And don't forget, the majority party in New Jersey are the 2.5 million unaffiliated, independent voters that lean right. And this time they favor Ciattarelli.
What if they haven't registered? Is there any way to still register to vote in New Jersey before Tuesday or no?
We don't have same-day registration here in New Jersey, and that's not something I support. What I do support is voter ID, and that's something I'll champion once we win.
Well, if you are registered, get up off of your couch. Get up. Get up. We can actually get a Republican running the state and restore order or some sort of decency to New Jersey. I want to show one thing that is personal to yours truly, because I do spend every summer in New Jersey. I'm a homeowner there. This is small ball, but I think everybody watching this will understand our frustration. This is from a report that aired on Fox News. Fox News' Brian Yanis. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Forgive me. Yeah. Reporting today. Watch this.
Now, Ciattarelli also says he's been surprised by how fired up voters are over a sleeper issue potentially in this campaign. His plan to get rid of the state's plastic bag and single-use paper bag ban.
Yes.
Come out of the store with a bunch of items and you got to purchase a new bag. It's really ridiculous.
It's so silly. My car is filled with all those other kind of bags and they're not biodegradable. It's definitely a struggle when you need to find a plastic bag. They don't exist anymore, but I think that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
They are not single-use bags. I use them all the time for all sorts of stuff, and I recycle when they are finished. So what is the problem?
We need plastic bags back.
We do.
We spoke to voters all over New Jersey, Harris. It is a hot topic people love to talk about. Ciattarelli says it's his #1 applause line, it seems like, at his rallies. Cheryl says she wants to keep the ban, so we'll see.
This could win you New Jersey.
It could. So she's doubled down on the Green New Deal that the current governor's put in place that has two things that people can't stand. The first is the plastic bag ban. We're getting rid of that. And the second thing is wind farms off the Jersey Shore. If the current governor and my opponent were from New Jersey, they'd know that the Jersey Shore is sacrosanct, and we're not going to have wind farms off our Jersey Shore. We will lower the cost of electricity by pulling out of Reggie, but we're not going to have wind farms off the Jersey Shore when I'm governor.
It's bad enough when you go to the grocery store and you have to buy all those new allegedly recyclable bags like that you bought the last time, but you forgot to bring them in with you. But let me say this. Try going to Bed Bath & Beyond or one of those stores where you have to get like big things and a lot of them, you know, like dish towels or bath mats, whatever, like I had to do this past summer. And they won't give you a bag. It's like either they let you take the cart directly to your car or not. But then when you get home, you need a bag. It's like, what's so wrong with plastic bags? I love that you've made this an issue. Now, talk to me about your opponent's military history, because she's not even been consistent on the story. And I have to say, I smell a rat in her story about why she didn't walk in her graduation from the Naval Academy.
Megyn, she's changed her story 3 times, which strongly suggests she's not telling the truth. But listen, she could very easily come clean by approving the release of her disciplinary records. Only she can do that. If what she's telling us is the truth, the disciplinary records will confirm that. But there's a pattern here, Megyn. She wasn't allowed to walk at her naval graduation at the Naval Academy. And by the way, she's built her entire political brand about her attendance at the Naval Academy, but now we know that she was severely punished. She violated federal law while in the Congress when it came to stock trades and stock reporting. And she tripled her net worth in only 6 years' time in the Congress, but can't explain how. I mean, come on. Who wouldn't know if they made $7 million?
Yes, she does seem a little befuddled on whether she made money or how. Do we have that with the Charlemagne exchange as one of our soundbites? I'm trying to look. Yeah, SOT 31. Let's listen.
So when Newsmax claims that you made $7 million from stock trades, what are they talking about?
Newsmax is, first of all, a very questionable organization that is paying multiple fines. I'm not sure what they're talking about.
Well, did you make $7 million in stock trades at all? Or?
I haven't. I don't believe I did, but I'd have to go see what that was alluding to. Again, what kind of came from.
It was a report in the.
No, I know it was from Newsmax, which again.
And then another one in the Washington Free Beacon, which is a conservative leaning platform, but they said you had increased from between 733,209 to over 4 million in 2019, and then between 4 million to 13 million in 2024. So that's where they got the 7 million increase. It's the average of the two broad asset
they averaged out that. Yeah. Look, I both my husband and I come from very middle class families. My parents were the first in their family to go to college, and his were both teachers. And then we both went into the military. And afterwards, he got a good job, and we've been really lucky.
Okay. She's much happier playing the destitution derby card, but she's a multimillionaire who won't own up to exactly how or when she got the funds.
Exactly. And she should know something about paying fines. She had to pay them for breaking federal law. It's embarrassing, and it's a disqualifier. She's been going all around saying she'll be the most transparent candidate and governor ever, but yet she's not transparent about her own personal situation that has been legitimately called into question. And by the way, Megyn, the New York Times reports that while she's sitting on the House Armed Services Committee, she's trading defense stocks. I mean, are you kidding me?
It's so unethical. The issue of boys playing in girls' sports is another clear dividing line between you and this Mikey Cheryl. She favors it? She wants to allow this to keep happening?
This mother of 2 daughters voted yes twice to allow biological boys to participate in girls' sports. That's an 80-20 issue. And I just find this so hypocritical because you and I both know the Democrats will always talk about their defense of women. Well, you're undermining Title IX by allowing biological boys to participate in girls' sports. But this is somebody that also supports one of Phil Murphy's policies, our current governor, where school districts keep secrets from parents. which I think is immoral, indecent, wrong, and dangerous. If we really care about kids, stop allowing biological boys and girls sports, and we're getting rid of policy 5756. No more keeping secrets from parents when I'm governor.
Before you came on, we were talking about how Colorado and New Jersey are now the only two states in the union, thanks to Phil Murphy, that are allowing abortion on demand all the way through the 40th week of pregnancy. It's crazy. So I have two questions for you. Number one, what would you do about that now law in New Jersey if you became governor? And number two, how do you get a state that's crazy enough to actually pass that? You know, they had to have state lawmakers involved. Phil Murphy had to sign off on it to vote for a Republican.
Yeah, first let me say, Megyn, that back at 21 with that very close race that I lost that you alluded to, you know, I flipped 8 seats in the state legislature, and that was with wind in my face. We got some serious wind at our back this time. I could flip 13 seats. And when we do that, we'll have something we haven't had in 25 years, a Republican majority in our state legislature. But listen, I'm going to fight like hell to make sure there are not late-term abortions. Taxpayer dollars are not paying for abortions, but most of all, parental notification, something else my opponent does not support. I mean, in New Jersey, you can't get your ears pierced under the age of 18 without the permission of your parents. And yet a 15, 16, or 17-year-old woman is going to get an abortion, not have parents be notified. Another one of those 80-20 issues here in New Jersey that I'm going to fight like hell for.
The thing is, New Jersey does have large pockets of red. It's kind of like California in that it's almost uniformly blue when you look at who's running it, who are the elected lawmakers. But it has large pockets of red. You know, trust me, like Jersey Shore, Atlantic City, you go there, you're overwhelmed with Trump flags. So there are Republicans, long-suffering Republicans in the state of New Jersey. She's trying to depress your turnout by suggesting you killed people. That's where she went, because you ran this medical company that put out materials involving opioids that downplayed the risks back at a time when a lot of people didn't understand. But in any event, here was the attack she launched on you at the debate. It was SOT 34. Let's watch it.
I got to walk at my college graduation.
I
got to walk at my college graduation.
And I'm so glad that you then went on to kill tens of thousands of people in New Jersey, including children.
And I never broke the law.
You just broke the law. In fact, your campaign right now is under federal investigation for how you illegally got access to my records. So to say that right now, and I think you're trying to divert from the fact that you killed tens of thousands of people by printing your misinformation, your propaganda, and then getting paid to develop an app so that people could more easily get the opioids once they were addicted.
How do you respond to that?
Megyn, it is a baseless, reckless lie from a desperate candidate who felt the heat from the Naval Academy revelations and the revelations about her net worth and breaking federal law and stock trades. She cracked. But I'll tell you what, that one's going to end her up in court. We'll be filing a defamation suit real soon on that one. And you want to talk about hypocrisy? Guess what we found out 48 hours after she made those baseless claims? That she took massive campaign contributions from the very same company she was accusing me of colluding with.
Wow. Okay, let's talk horse race, because we want to give people a realistic assessment of where things are. You mentioned the Emerson poll, which now has this dead heat, which is amazing. But New Jersey has early voting too, and we have to look at that. It sounds like so far, I'm a little worried about the early voting. Explain to me why I shouldn't be, because here's my producer with the glass half empty take. Democrats again won the early person vote, in-person vote on Tuesday. You had won it on Monday, but they took it back on Tuesday. Republicans still behind in the overall early in-person vote. Republicans actually won the early in-person vote in 2024, and Trump still lost New Jersey to Harris. So that's scary. You look at the mail-in vote, Dems are up 26.4 points over the GOP in the early in-person plus mail-in vote. So what this tells me is that you really need them to show up on Election Day in droves. You walk me off the cliff.
Okay, first of all, keep in mind with regard to the polls that show this literally as a dead heat, that traditionally, historically speaking, Republicans underpoll in this state because we're outnumbered by so many Democrats. But the other thing to keep in mind is back in 2021, I beat Phil Murphy, the current governor, on Election Day, in-person voting on the machines by 250,000. So If we're going into Election Day somewhat tied based on the vote-by-mail ballots that have been returned and early voting, 9 days of early voting, we're in really good shape.
Oh, okay. I see your point. Yes, you just need to keep, you're not expecting to win the mail-in vote and the early vote as a Republican. You just have to keep the margin tight enough that your day of vote will put you over the edge.
I'm not ruling it out that we don't win the 9 days of early voting, Megyn. If you take a look at the motivation of voters, the motivation's all on my side. And one of the crosstabs in many of the polls measures enthusiasm. I'm beating my opponent by 10 points when it comes to the enthusiasm factor.
How could you not be? She's so milquetoast and not likable. I don't understand. New Jerseyans are so down to earth. They're fun. They're funny. They're fighters. I don't get that they're resonating with her or that Phil Murphy would resonate with them. Like, explain to me what's happening with this electorate, that it's this tight between you and this woman.
She's not from New Jersey, and she's demonstrated that time and time again, Megyn. We get up and down the state 8 days a week. She has ducked appearance after appearance after appearance. Yesterday was another day in front of 500 members of an important business advocacy here in the state. You got to get out there and press the flesh. We do. Listen, I'm very confident. Everything learned from 21 and the closeness of that race, this one feels very, very different. The energy is electric. The reception in minority communities has been overwhelmingly positive this time around. And keep in mind one other thing. 13 prominent Democrats, all current office holders, have endorsed my candidacy. When Democrats in this state start endorsing the Republican nominee, that's telling you something.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, it's like you get this gift. I saw you posted about it on X just as we go to, voting week. Drag queens are being invited by the Democrat Union to appear at their next month big, I don't know, there's some woke event called Celebrating the Vibrant World of Drag. This is the union's annual convention in Atlantic City, touting equity, justice, and et cetera, ahead of learning. How did New Jerseyans even know about this? Do you think that this is just a matter of like watching too much CNN and not knowing this is happening?
This is the teachers union, which will be convening in about a month's time, and they're advertising their programming for this year's convention, and one of which is this drag programming. I don't understand it one bit. I find it disgusting. Listen, I'm a live and let live guy, but there's stuff that does not belong in our schools. That includes the LGBTQ curriculum. It also includes this drag thing that the NJEA, the teachers union, has going on. Listen, they already own my opponent. They've been lying about me left and right, but I take it as a compliment. To me, it's a sign of desperation.
Jack, let's go. Let's do this thing. You got a couple of days to go. New Jerseyans, get up. Get off the couch. Make sure if you're registered to vote, you vote for Jack Ciattarelli. We cannot have this woman taking New Jersey into another 4+ years of Democrat rule. Thank you, my friend. It's jack4newjersey.com. jack4newjersey.com if you want to help him out. Good luck.
Megyn, thank you.
All the best. Wow. Okay, thanks for joining me today. And all week tomorrow, you're going to get to watch and listen to our MK Live show from Saturday with Link, Mark Halpern, and Glenn Beck. You'll enjoy it. Go to MegynKelly.com for tickets.